right now. Today is the day that you choose to change the rest of your life. It is time to turn your setback into the greatest comeback story ever told, and nobody is more capable than you. This is the Ranting Weight Watcher podcast, the future #1 weight loss podcast in the world. I am your host, Donato Russo. I hope you enjoy the show today. If this is your first time here and you enjoy the show, please subscribe and spread the word of the Ranting Weight Watcher podcast wherever you are and to whomever will listen. If you'd like to connect on social media or wherever else, check out my Linktree page, Linktree/the Ranting Weight Watcher. Let's connect today. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 197 of the Ranting Weight Watcher podcast. This is part 4 of the Redemption series. If this is your first time here, I want to welcome you to the show. If you enjoy it, please consider subscribing. If the app that you're using to listen to the show allows you to write a review or rate the show, please consider writing a review and leaving a 4-star or 5-star rating. Doing this will promote the podcast growth by updating an algorithm, which in turn will make it easier for anyone else looking for a weight loss or related podcast that is using the same app as you. One of the best things you could do to support this podcast is to literally tell anyone you know that is in the same position we are all in, trying to live a healthy life. Tell them about the show. Show them how to find it. I want to give a special thanks to all of the financial supporters of the podcast. Thank you so much for considering the Ranting Weight Watcher podcast a worthy investment of your hard-earned money. If you are interested in becoming a financial supporter of this podcast, there is a Linktree link in the description of every podcast episode. When you click it, you will be taken to a website where you will see a button that says Become a Financial Supporter. Click that button and you will be given the options available so that you can choose from there. Well, let's not waste any more time. Let's get into this. So today I wanted to talk about, I couldn't think of so many ways to say this, so I wanted to cover all bases: emotional eating, stress eating, binge eating. If you did have a situation where you emotionally ate over the past 4 months, and let's talk about it.
Should we maybe say what binge eating is? Just in case
the differences between them?
Well, yeah, maybe just explain, like, binge eating is when you eat a large amount of food in a short amount of time, and you definitely feel like you can't control, how much you're eating in that moment.
Yeah. And then the stress eating and emotional eating, they're caught in some moment of that's making you feel a certain way, and you're turning to food to cope with it. I guess you could do that with binge eating too, right? You're coping from a situation.
Oh, yeah.
This is Jane. And I would say that looking back, I definitely am an emotional eater and a stress eater. With 4th of July, we went out to dinner. But I'm finding that those situations now are not like they used to be. 4th of July, I was at a family barbecue at the beach. There was hors d'oeuvres, chips and, all the usual suspects. I don't feel it's as intense as it once was, which I think is a good thing when I think about it overall.
Has there been a moment over the past 4 months where you've emotionally ate at all?
I wouldn't say it's emotional eating. I would say that it's more of a conscience. Like, for example, last night I had pizza and I thought about it, and I haven't had anything like that in a while. It was, okay, pizza sounds really good. I want to have it. I know how I'm going to feel tomorrow after having it. How am I going to get through that? Because I feel like I have to conquer those things in order to move forward and be able to enjoy it. So I ate too much of it. I knew what I was doing. I had a little bit of regret this morning, but I know that it's not the end. I know I haven't sabotaged everything. I know that I will move forward, and I have the rest, today completely. it's kind of a win for me, I guess.
That's a huge one. That's a huge one. How did you get to this spot where you're at right now? Because you're celebrating it. You've made these changes. You're more aware. You're definitely more
I'm
aware.
definitely more aware. Yeah. So I'm not celebrating it. I haven't gotten there yet, but I think it's just because I feel a little guilty for doing what I did because that perfectionism in me comes in and it's not the 80-20 rule. I would say that's the 80-20. That pizza was the 20. And like you say, you just get up the next day and you move on. There are still 2 pieces in the refrigerator. I'm not going to have them. I don't want them. And before, they wouldn't have even lasted past breakfast. Thinking it through today, it's good.
Jody, you've had your hand up. You want to?
I started out emotionally eating mostly when I was feeling sad or depressed to just comfort myself. But I noticed something last night, actually. I was pouting because I was already over my budget for what I call my happy money. Because I had, with vacation and everything, that was at my allowance. And my favorite workout brand has this very good sale right now. I can buy some, but I don't need to, and I shouldn't. So I was pouting, and I found myself just munching on some milk duds. Gosh darn it. Just eating it, and being, every time I would eat one, I would say something to myself like, why does everything got to cost so much money nowadays? And then I'd eat a few more. And then I caught myself afterwards, and I was like, so I've gone from eating because I'm sad to eating because I'm pouting.
I had a very similar experience to that. I was just out on Saturday night because you guys know I'm doing like the carnivore thing. So I decided, okay, I'm going to go out to dinner and I'm going to get a carnivore friendly dinner. So we go to this restaurant and I see ribeye on the menu. So I order the ribeye. It comes and it's just the crappiest. I have never had such a bad ribeye in my entire life.
Oh no.
And I was so aggravated by this. It was just cooked so poorly and it was thin. I never had a ribeye less than 1.5 inches thick. I mean, that we're talking about really thick cuts of meat. And this thing was like, if it was 3/4 of an inch, I'm giving it some thickness. But I was so aggravated by this that I said, that's it. I'm having an ice cream float. I don't even like ice cream. So out of anger, I got a cream soda ice cream float. And I did that because I was angry that the ribeye was so bad. And I was like, am I still up to Saturday night? I was like, I don't have anything to contribute to this. I haven't emotionally ate in so long. And then Saturday night comes, well, anger's an emotion, you moron. so you just literally ate an ice cream float out of anger, right? And so
I'll show that steak.
right. It's like, oh, I'll show the waiter or chef for getting my steak wrong and take that. It was so stupid, but that's what I did, and I was like, "Oh, what you think like you're above this now because you're 5.5 years in, but really you're not. At any given moment, you're open and susceptible to anything that you feel, and that's all there is to it."
That's a really good point. Really good point that we forget.
Mm-hmm.
At least I forget.
Phyllis, did you want to go ahead?
It doesn't go away.
At past points in my life, I struggled a lot with binge eating, and thankful to say that really is not an issue anymore. But the emotional eating still, as you said, it's still been at this a long time, and it can still just pop up. And in the last few months, I've noticed when I feel stressed over, like overcommitted or over, like I can't handle what I need to do, I'll still tend to want to go and eat. And what I've noticed is, that gives me this little bit of relief. It gives me a little bit of comfort. It's, for a very temporary period of time. So I've worked at what else can give me that little bit of relief, that little bit of comfort that doesn't involve eating food I don't want to eat. And I've a couple of times now in the last few months been able to say, okay, no, there are other ways to get what I'm really looking for, which is relief from the stress, relief from that sense that I just can't do what everybody's expected me to do.
Anybody else want to add to that?
The one thing that came up this last couple of weeks was I was invited to 2 different functions. And I realized that I'm the type that, oh gosh, I feel really bad to tell you, no, I can't do it, because I don't really have a good excuse. Like there's nothing else in the way of me saying no, except myself. So I'm putting myself at jeopardy for my goal if I say yes, just because I don't have another reason. I ended up saying no to 2 different things, and I felt such a relief. I did that for myself, and I didn't feel guilty for it.
There you go. That's
Yeah.
great.
Huge stuff.
We tend to feel this guilt when people want to give us food, or we go to their house and we don't want to say no to them because we feel like they won't like us anymore, or they're going to get angry. But in the long term, when we leave their home or the restaurant, then we start to build all these emotions like, why did I do that? Why didn't I say no? What is wrong with me? Why can't I do this? And when you finally are able to tell someone, no, I don't want this, that feeling of you're in control now, like, hey, I can do this. And it's a challenge for all of us to do. Like, I challenge all of us to tell someone, no, I don't want the cookies. I don't want the donut, and just walk away. And I want you to pay attention to how you feel after you say that to them.
Yeah.
Anne Marie.
So for me, I wanted to say it's kind of binging, but not really binging in the way that like I can't stop eating. For me, I kind of categorize it as all along my WW journey, which has been, she's about 7 years now. I would always do really, really well, make great choices all week long, and then save like every last point for the weekend, and would look forward to the weekend and, you know, kind of just eat what I wanted. And it worked. I lost 75 pounds doing that. But the Saturday, which would be just Saturday, turned into Saturday and Sunday. And then, God forbid, there's Monday's a holiday, that would wreck it. And weight started to creep back on. I do recognize that, but I still tend to like I'll do really well all week long. But Saturday, you know, I have to have something to like look forward to. And I feel like it's kind of binging. My weekend's kind of binging. And it's really difficult because I want to continue to have something to look forward to. But, you know, what I told myself is I'm going to track what I eat. So at least I'm accountable for what I'm having. And I have been doing much better. That has helped a lot. But I still want to. And it's not like I'm an emotional. It's just because I'm used to it and I want it. And it's been extremely difficult to break that habit.
It does seem to come to an end. What starts as a normal thing, and it's just what you said. You said, what'd you say? You lost 75 pounds doing that?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I essentially lost 150 pounds doing that, and it has since become much harder. So what I did was crack down on essentially 4 of the meals on the weekends. If I can get breakfast, lunch on both days handled, and we happen to go out Saturday and Sunday on the evenings, those are going to be the only 2 meals, right? And now with the price of everything, it's become like eating out is every other week. And so that has helped as well. The financial situation has helped in that sense for me.
And I feel we create these routines. So Saturday's coming, I'm going to have my barbecue ribs or whatever it may be. And we're super excited for this food. And I've met so many members throughout the years who Saturday and Sunday were their quote, you know, cheat days. And then they would gain weight. And then they spent the rest of the week trying to lose what they gained on the weekend. And it's just a continuous cycle. So sometimes making a new meal at home can be something exciting too, especially if it's something you enjoy. It's a lower point meal. I'm not sure if everybody's on Weight Watchers, a lower point meal. And you're excited about that meal. And but you're right. This is something we talk about and um during Thanksgiving. Don't make Thanksgiving 4 days. It's one meal. It's one meal. And that's something we have to kind of put in our head. And it can be hard to break. It's a routine you created, and it definitely will take some time to change that.
Yeah, and then you have to make sure the food is good when you do change it. Cheryl, go ahead.
I would say it's all of the above. I tend to have my emotions, and the stress will cause my emotions, and then I call it a binge, but it's not. I don't know if it's a true binge, because it's a lot of food for me. But some people would say, no, that's not a lot of food. But for me, it's a lot. And because I lost 98 pounds, if I eat anything, I kind of start to gain. But then I lose it just as fast as I gain it. But over the last month, I've done a lot better. I was like keeping track of how often I binge, and I binge. Last month I binged like 8 times, and then this month I binged 3 times. So that's a big decrease. And I did what you had told me, which instead of talking to the food, I talked to myself and reminded myself of what I'm losing by eating that, not what I'm gaining by eating it at that moment. But if I eat it, all the things I'm going to lose, because I'm going to gain back the 100 pounds again, because this is the first time I kept 100 pounds off for a year and a half. And if I go back into that practice, I am going to gain it back, and I know that.
That's definitely progress. You're making progress, which is great. So what have you changed to are you taking that moment, like taking that step back to think about, you said that what Donato said helped you, are you taking that step back, like before you have that binge, to think about this, to get yourself out of that situation?
Like I said, it was only happened a few times this time, like way less than it was before. And I actually lost like 4 pounds this month, because I kind of stopped the binges as much. But yeah, I've been talking to myself, like when I find myself that, oh no, I want to eat that. If I could stop myself from eating the first one, it's always at work. It's always from 4 to 6 p.m. So I know where my triggers are, and I even know the exact time where I am, the whole 9 yards. And when I find myself wanting to take that first bite, I start telling myself, no, you don't want to do that. You know you're not going to be able to eat just one. As soon as I eat that one, I'm not going to be able to stop. And I have to keep reminding myself.
Good.
And then there's this other thing I found, was called Yuko. I don't know if anybody heard of that, but it's a thing on your phone that you could get on your phone, and you could scan things, and it will tell you how healthy it is or unhealthy it is to eat. And for example, like it will say this out of a 0 to 100, how healthy it is. And if it says like it's a 4, you're like, oh my God, I got to go look and see why. And it will literally tell you why it's rating a 4 out of 100, and tell you the toxins are in it and what chemicals are in it and what the chemicals do. It's a really cool system. I'll put it for all of you guys in our group.
Okay. Thanks.
That's pretty cool.
That is cool. That's good to know. That's good to know. But something that you said as well is, one of the steps to help with binge eating is planning ahead for triggering situations. And that's something for all of us to know. And if there's a certain time of day, or if you meet up with someone that might, cause anxiety and stress, you could definitely plan ahead for that. That is definitely one of the steps to help with binge eating.
And another thing I would say is binge eating is a behavior before it's an amount of food. The amount is variable. Anybody can grab any particular thing, but the behavior is the same for everyone, right? What causes us to binge eat, the whatever the trigger is one thing, but then the action, the process of binge eating, everybody's doing the same thing. The food might be different for every person, but what you're doing in the moment is the same thing. And it doesn't really matter the amount, what, none of that matters. And what anybody else thinks of what is considered binge eating is up to them, and that's their business. It's not your business, but you know what binge eating behavior is. And if that's what you feel it is, then that's what you feel it is. And it sounds like you're making great progress to, battle it. And I would take that as a win as well.
Yes. Well said. Well said, Donato.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So Donato, do you mean so for example, it would be like you're not eating a meal. So it's not out of hunger. So
Right.
that would be kind of a definition of the binge.
Right. So you're doing it because, there are various reasons you binge, right? And
Right.
people wake up at 2 a.m. and they just go down to the fridge. You could be, I'm physically upstairs from my refrigerator, but before before all this other stuff, there had been plenty of nights where I feel like I want something just because I woke up. At any other
Right.
time I'd be asleep, right? So it becomes the actions involved more so than what, the food is or whatever, it's
Mhm.
not just about an amount of food, what food, it's
Right.
not just about that. It's about the behavior process involved in it. Uncontrolled eating for literally no reason. You're not hungry. There's no reason you might feel hungry. What else would you say, Sophie?
Eating when you're full, you're not hungry, just like Donato said. There's the feelings that you don't have control over your eating behavior. So, for example, you can't stop, once you've started, and that's happened to me a couple times in the past. I remember doing that. I just kept going and going, and you're often eating larger amounts of food than you usually do, and sometimes it's a specific time or place, that might trigger you. Eating until you're uncontrollably full. That's another thing, when you start to feel physically sick because you've eaten so much. Another one would be eating alone or in secret. That could be one as well.
All right. Loretta.
Hello. I think it goes in a row like this, like stress. I get stressed and then I totally emotionally eat. And then when I get stressed and then I'm emotional, I don't do what I'm supposed to do, cook a good meal, exercise. So then if I don't exercise, I don't make good decisions because my mental gig is off. And I'm still battling with those two. Binge, I am the girl that can't sleep and thinks that if she eats, she's going to go right to sleep. And I do. Like my last episode was eating 6 pieces of toast at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. Maybe it was 12:30. I don't know. And boom, couldn't sleep. And then I did that and I went right out. And it's not pretty. It's not something I'm proud of. I'm ashamed, but I feel safe enough to tell you guys because I think you won't beat me up, right? You're going to tell me, you're going to say, girl, this, but you're going to give me some tools that would hopefully change that in my life.
When you mention the stress, what is the stress factor in those moments?
The recent one was work. And then
What about at 2 o'clock in the morning?
oh, I just can't sleep. Can't sleep because, this
So
is
that's not at 2 o'clock in the morning. It's not stress related.
No, it's my mind. I just can't sleep. Either I've not exhausted myself, I didn't exercise, or I'm not tired. So I have to make sure that I am, go all day, or I'm not going to be tired.
And stress is related to work, you said, mostly.
Well, yeah, there's some family issues where I had to get a house ready for rental, and I had about a month and a half. That caused me great stress, where, the house was empty and I had to fill it up within a month and a half, and the expenses, the time, the, coordinating everything. So, stress, what everybody goes through. You got a lot to do,
Right.
I think, Loretta,
Yeah.
because you said your mind doesn't stop. So right there, that's what's going on. And I'm familiar. I think some of you go to my workshops, I always talk about how I was insomnia for so long. And right there, that's where we need to work on is relaxing that mind. Because once you can relax that mind, you could go to sleep. And then now you're not going to have, the 6 pieces of toast in the middle of the night. So I think right there is where we have to work on how can we get your mind to, relax and slow down. I know personally, if I don't do that for myself, I cannot sleep. Like if my mind is going and going and going, then forget it. I'm not going to bed. So I had to come up with my own ways to make sure I relax my mind and my body before I go to bed. Have you ever tried anything to help you with that?
No, usually it's just TV will put me, relax me enough that I'm out. But if, you can't find something that you can't concentrate on, it doesn't keep your attention, right? My mind won't shut off. Now I'll try to read, but then I'm reading for a little while too long, and then I'm up, or I come home and I think instantly, I think I should go to sleep, but it doesn't happen, So reading, TV, sometimes I'll try like raining, like an app that, or waves that will just
White
continue.
noise.
White
Mhm.
noise. That
Mhm.
white noise helps, yeah. Because I will talk to myself for an hour before I get up out of the bed and I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. But meanwhile, back here, I know that I'm getting up. I cannot separate.
Do you take magnesium at night?
No.
You should try magnesium. I have had a very, very hard time with trying to get to sleep, and I have a whole routine and regimen now. I use topical magnesium and I spray it on the bottom of my feet probably about an hour before bed, and it helps relax me so I can go to sleep. And I take magnesium capsules. I take 2 at night. And that helps me sleep because sometimes I can lay down and even though my body is tired, I just can't fall asleep. And I also have blackout curtains in my room because 8:30, like right now, I'm normally knocked out. So it's still light when I try to go to sleep. And I also have the headphones that Donato was referring to that cover your eyes. Like I don't care what I have to do. I am determined to get good quality sleep because if you don't sleep well at night, your next day, you're setting yourself up for failure. It's going to make you want to eat and nibble. I've noticed for myself personally, on days that I don't get a good night's sleep, that next day I struggle. I struggle with how I eat. I struggle with just how I feel. And it's just like a domino effect. So I feel like if we can just get that sleep right, the next day it's usually pretty good. Like last night, I didn't sleep well at all. I think I slept all of 4.5 hours because my dog is sick. And today has just been, it's been a lot because I'm tired and I'm aggravated and, just been rough. But I'm telling you, the magnesium on the feet, that works. And I can actually send you show you which ones that I use. I can post them in the group for you.
Just keep in mind, if you get the capsules, there are many different kinds of magnesium.
Yes.
My wife uses magnesium glycinate,
Yep.
and that is the one's going to help you relax to fall asleep.
And that's what I use.
And it's lighter on your stomach.
All right, Taffy.
I think what's happened over the last 3 months and now this 4th month finally is that I have just learned that I was making bad food choices. I really have got an issue with sugar. And so I've learned that over the time. Yeah, I have to make this a priority. And Donato, you have made such a difference in my life over the last 4 weeks that this is a priority for me now. It has to come first. And I make sure that I have things that I eat that I like. We've got so many choices.
That's great.
I just want to ask Taffy, how does it feel to make yourself a priority?
Oh my God. It's been huge. It's been a long journey to come here. And like I said, my why is about my health now, where it was never about my health. It was about fitting into a pair of jeans. So, that was always my why, but it's changed. And I can't believe how different I feel emotionally, physically, everything just changes you. I'm still nervous that, I'm going to go back, but I don't think so.
That's
All
great.
right.
It's great to hear. And I wanted you to say that out loud so you can hear yourself say
Yeah.
this and how you're
Yeah.
feeling. And it's human nature to be scared, to think, oh my gosh, what if I go back? But let's
Mhm.
do your best not to look backwards, right? We're
Right.
we're going
Keep
forward now.
going. Keep
And you're doing
focused.
exactly. Yes.
All right, Cynthia.
Hi, I'm just so grateful for this group and for just the opportunity to be more transparent. And I look back 4 months, but I also look back the past month. And what I discovered is that my instances of eating after dinner are still there, but there's way less repetitions. Another interesting thing I discovered, thanks to y'all's encouragement for journaling, is that sometimes when I would write down what was your struggle today, not applicable, that has never happened before. And the same thing, like, what do you want to take back? So there were certainly things I wanted to take back, but then the second greatest thing that I wrote was not applicable. And I was just like, wow, I can actually do this. I'm improving. And I know it's not about perfection, but I never noticed improvement before. So that's something that I'm starting to see. I'm still kind of following the data and looking back. So how did we get here? And number one was I had to take you up, Donato, on the consistency challenge a year ago. That's when I joined the group. And it took me 12 months. But now measuring and tracking is not a problem because I was just like, let me do what the man's telling me to do and just take the small steps. And it was completely worth it to be here because before there was so much doubt. I wasn't really sure where I was, how much I was eating, and it's just like, oh, just guess this point. But those small steps really led me here. So now that tracking is not a problem, I can focus on other things. So I'm finding a freedom that I didn't have before because I'm not guilty and then I don't have to worry. And again, it's not perfect. Like I have struggles, I have things that I have to take back, but then I'm faced with the facts. It's just like, okay, so if eating after dinner is a problem, why is it a problem? And then because of journaling every day, I have to make a decision. So my decision is just like, let's tackle this in an intelligent manner and see what happens. So that's where I am. I'm very happy with the improvement. And again, I admire all the data that you share with us in the podcast. And I was just like, let me look at my data kind of to see where I am. Um, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to do this now, but I guess you're gonna hear it now. This is the lowest I've weighed in July for the past 4 years. And in
Hey,
July, and
yes.
it's not like a huge amount, but July is a big month for me because that's when usually things just get really overwhelming. For the past 3 years, my husband goes on a mission trip out of the country. So it's me and the kids. It is a little extra stressful because it's just like, okay, our routine has changed. And I'm telling you, like, I was just like, okay, I've had this issue every year. What is an intelligent way to solve this thing? Not like to go for perfection, but to go for progress. And I'm telling you, like, the consistency challenges helped. This group has helped a lot. And because I also had to balance, I think that's what I told y'all before, like I had to balance my macros to make sure that I had enough protein in my system. So it's just like, okay, it's after dinner and I'm not hungry.
I
So
wanted to
that's
ask you about that. Remember on the last episode, you had talked about um, you were getting enough protein, but you were still eating at night. And I said, well, what if the protein changed to a protein that had a little bit more fat? And I was wondering if you had tried that and what was the result?
I did try, I actually tried it tonight and I tried it, the last couple of weeks and it worked. Like like I'm not hungry, and I was never really anti-fat, but after so many years of listening to lean protein, it's just like there's nothing really wrong with, and it tastes better. So it did work and I tried it. So thank you for that.
And so you felt more satisfied having that. Even
Way more. So like that's one that I don't have to worry about. It's just like the actual hunger.
it's almost like a freedom I noticed when I started to introduce animal fats back into my life after so many years of getting as far away from them as possible. It's funny.
I think that what she's doing is great and reflecting, and you've made changes. You said July has always been a really tough month for you, and this is something to definitely celebrate and making those changes. And what you said about tracking, and this is something for all of us to remember, you know, when we don't do something like tracking, then we start to get stressed, right? You said you stress and worry. So now we're worried about that. We're stressed out, that might add to emotional eating. Then we go down a whole other road. So when we knock that one thing out, which you did, right? It seems like it just kind of gave you this big relief. Do you feel like you feel that way? Like this weight is off of you now.
I do. And it's thanks to the podcast because I was just like, this guy knows a lot of data about himself and that like that curiosity that's kind of got me started. And it was an extra motivation to try because before I would do, and I'm only speaking about myself, just a lazy thing. I don't want to track. It's too much work. Meh, meh, meh. But I was just like, what would it be like to be fully in control of what I put in my mouth and know the
Mhm.
data? Because like I want different results and I can't have them unless I know what I'm putting inside of myself.
Data is awesome, and it's so great when we have that, and we can look at a year ago or a month ago, and just to feel stress free from the track. You don't even have to worry about tracking. It seems like it's part of your routine now. It's part of your lifestyle, and hey, you're doing it, and you've moved on to something else to work on your journey. So it's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you one more thing before we go on. Um, you went through the challenge. You made tracking such a normal part of your life. You made all of the things in the challenge have become normality in your life now. And you said you have felt a freedom that you didn't feel before. Let me ask. So I always tell in my walk videos on this podcast and all these things, I always say that you will get to this point and achieve all of this and still see after all of that the scale still fluctuates. Have
Yep.
you seen that?
Oh, yes, sir. It has fluctuated and it's okay because I know I'm doing the right things and then the skills not my only measure. I'm working on getting stronger. Again, you didn't ask me this, but I'm going to tell you. I've been thin, I've been fat, I've never been strong. So that's what I'm after. So I'm looking at strength. And Donato, one of the things I'm thankful for, I've been able to work out with a 35-pound dumbbell. And it's because of tracking, it's because of putting the right things inside of myself. So like the fluctuations now are just like, that's what it does. But look at what I can do. Look at what I can lift. Look how far I can run. I can keep up with my kids. Like I can carry my groceries from the car to the house, no problem. So the fluctuations are just part of it because it's just what the body does, but it no longer rules me.
When you had fluctuations, when you were at the time when you weren't doing things consistently, how it felt between then and now?
It felt like terror, honestly, because I felt like the scale was my master. and it was angry with me when it was up, and when it was down, I did something good. But then the next day, like I didn't sleep well and it was up again. It just was not sustainable, and it didn't make sense. But now it's almost as if it's like it's superfluous. I don't know how to say that. It doesn't matter, because there's so many other measurements that come together to make this life that I want to live.
Kathy, go ahead.
Well, hello. The question is, what has happened in the last 4 months? And I almost wanted to put the question back out as what hasn't happened, but I don't want to put that into the universe because I could be inviting more things in, right? Have I done any emotional, stressful, and binge eating? I've done A, I've done B, I've done C, and I've done celebratory eating. And I guess we can throw that into the emotional eating because with the new job, there's all of the events that comes with the new job and the new environment. There's the second quarter breakfast tomorrow morning. There's this person's birthday. Oh my God, Donato, there's food everywhere I turn. And there's so many times I've said no. I wish I had kept a tracker of that. Thanks for the data. If I could have kept a tracker of all the times I've said no, because in my head, I think I've always said yes, but there are times I've said no. What am I most excited about currently is that I haven't thrown in the towel because I've embraced the understanding that this journey isn't a straight downhill and that there are going to be times where I have experienced weight gains. And it isn't the weight gain that gets to determine the end of my journey. And so many times in the past that has happened where I've lost weight, I've gained weight, and then I've gone, out the door. See you later, Weight Watchers. I won't be back until, 2026 when I'm another 100 pounds overweight or something. But this time around, it's different. I see the number on the scale, and as I was on my way down and I've gained that number on the scale, it meant something different. If I'm on my way up, it's the same number, but it has a different meaning. So what I'm learning over this course and this program together with all of our team members here is I'm learning how not to let my circumstances negate my responsibilities of just showing up, even when it's hard. It's not easy getting on a scale on Saturday morning knowing it's up, but I do it anyway. And then I try my best to figure out what do I want to do differently next week. And I go for that. I've added exercise. I never thought I would be a girl that wants to get up and walk on a Saturday morning or Monday morning or Wednesday morning. It's too hot. The mosquito bit me on my forehead. I don't want to do it, but I figure it out anyway. So I'm excited about other things other than the scale right now.
That's awesome.
I'm extremely happy for you because that is a huge mindset shift. It's a shift, and I think we all know, or we've all been there, where we give the scale so much control, and the scale doesn't know all the things that you are doing, and to switch that up and not give it so much control again, it's just lifts up, this huge weight that we have on ourselves. And all the members I've met throughout the years, that scale has a lot of power, and it's definitely something we should all work on is shifting that mindset.
Oh, and the data, like I was sitting there having a little pity party and I looked at July 2023 and literally I am 18 pounds lighter than I was last year, July 2023. Regardless of my up and down and all around for 2024, I'm still 18 pounds lighter July 2024 than I was last year. So, it's coming. It's coming.
It is. And we all have to think when we hit a gain, right? Whether it's, 2 gains in a row and we say, okay, I'm done. Well, what happens now? You're done. So we're just
exactly right.
done,
right?
And to keep gaining, right?
Yeah.
Keep gaining. 5 turns into 10.
I'll show the scale that. I'll show you.
I'll show you.
But yeah, we should all think of that. Okay, so we quit. What happens next then?
Right.
we want to keep going. We definitely want to keep going. And I met one member one time and he lost every single week. And honestly, he ended up hitting lifetime. He quit and he gained it all back. So it's all of us are like this, it goes down, it goes up. Donato, that episode you did with the data, and it just shows that, we're going to have those gains and those losses on this journey.
Now, for the first time, I'm going to give you guys an assignment. You have the month to do this. So, part 5, I want you to be ready to talk about it. And that assignment is simple. If I could remove all barriers, mental, physical, financial, if I could remove all of those barriers, if I could also remove the possibility of failure, what would you do? What have you always dreamed of? Dream big here. Dream big. What would you do if there was no possibility of failure? If you had no mental limitations? If you had no physical limitations? And you had no financial limitations? What would you do? And now, to close out this episode, I want you guys to tell the audience, tell everyone listening, what has changed in your life in the last 4 months? How has the group and being on this podcast helped you? And if you want to talk about scale success, feel free to do so. It's up to you, whatever you want to say.
The biggest thing for me is the accountability.
Mentally, I feel so much freer.
Having this group and all the support here from each one of you has been awesome. Having that accountability to you each week has been just tremendous in my growth.
What I most enjoy about this group is the stability. You've been there, and that's been really nice, and feeling like I'm getting to know you, all of you.
First, I really appreciate the group. It's kept me in it and kept me on task, even when it hasn't been perfect like I think I should be.
I've learned tools to use to prevent myself from going into a binge. What my triggers are, what, where, when. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm getting better.
I'm back to living my life. When I first started here, I can remember coming in here because I was turning down all kinds of activities. I didn't want to go out with my friends. I had nothing to wear. It was awful. I was not living my full life like I wanted to when I moved to Florida.
I'm very grateful for all the tools that I learned here to help myself. I no longer feel like I'm helpless. I don't feel like I'm going to have to try something else, or I'm just going to have to coast. Just the tools, the journaling, the accountability has been huge. Being in a group where I feel like I'm completely understood and not judged has been really good. And the freedom to know that the scale is just one small piece of the puzzle has been amazing. So I'm very grateful for that.
Very grateful that I'm a part of this group. I feel that I'm totally heard and understood without judgment. I'm grateful for the podcast, not just for the information, but for the encouragement of implementation.
We talk about our struggles. We talk about what's worked, what's not, and that has resonated with me.
When I joined this group, my intentions were to use it to help me get to the bottom of some of my emotional issues and everything. I hadn't realized exactly how weighed down I was. I was so stuck on who I thought I should have been by now that I didn't realize how much I was limiting myself right now.
So over the last 4 months, what has changed a lot for me is the types of food that I eat. I've really stopped eating all of those processed snacks, the 2-point snacks here and there that were, chips or pretzels, to whole foods, almonds, things that have minimal ingredients. That has been huge for me.
Working towards the goal, but knowing that I will get there. I don't know when, but I will.
I would say that the last 2 weeks, I've really been focusing on, as I said earlier, on me. The processed food, pretty much gone.
I've learned that certain foods cause me to get triggered, and that if I eat whole foods, no processed foods, there's certain foods that just do me in, and they're processed. The less ingredients, the better.
I feel in control for the first time in a long time. I don't feel like I have to apologize for saying no to certain foods. I'm able to go out and not have a drink. I feel really good. I can party with the best of them. And I just appreciate all of you so much.
Journaling just about my life and going outside and enjoying nature. Those are all ways that I'm taking better care of myself. I'm also very grateful that this is the lowest I've been in 4 months in July, which is a big month for me. So nothing but gratitude.
There's nothing I find more rewarding that at the end of the day that I've accomplished just 30 minutes of a walk, just to close this green ring on my watch. Seriously, I enjoy the sharing of the information. You impart wisdom to us as a leader in your podcast and in our group. And to think this is all free of charge and it's a labor of love on your part that you do this for us. And I'm so forever grateful. The scale result isn't exactly where I'd like for it to be, but at the end of the day, I am exactly where I'm supposed to be, learning the lesson that I need to learn.
I said to myself the other day, I was like, this man is not doing this for my entertainment. Make your plan, go work your plan. He's giving you advice and direction. Flip and go do it, girl. You take a lot of time out for your podcast, and it shows because you got my attention, and that's hard to do sometimes. There you go. I'm grateful for the accountability.
That's another thing that this group has helped me do by being able to verbalize my struggles. It's just really helped me put a lot of things into perspective.
I'm happy to report.
And I'm happy to say that.
And I'm happy to say over the past 4 months,
I feel really good. And
I'm down 4 pounds.
And I have lost between 6 and 8 pounds.
I'm down 11.8 pounds.
And I've lost 12 pounds.
I'm down 13 and a half pounds.
Wow. It is amazing when you start getting to the nitty-gritty of things, what you can accomplish. And you guys have accomplished some amazing things. Just the transitions alone, forget the weight loss for 1 second, but just the transitions alone, so many of you dropping multiple ingredient foods or single ingredient foods, whole foods. This transition, you will look back on these days during your transition and you will say, thank God I made that move. Thank God. Because those moments are dictating the true best version of you that has not even been introduced to the world yet. It's going to be those small choices, the choices to walk away from what is easy to eat and what is normalized by all of society. You guys made the hard decision. You made the decision to walk down the road less traveled and to say, you know what? I'm in it for me and I'm willing to make the sacrifice. I'll do whatever it takes to create the vision of the future that I can see. You guys are all amazing, every single one of you. Congratulations to those of you who have had scale results It's amazing, amazing work. Keep it up. Don't let go. Don't even take your eyes off of this moment, off of this episode, off of these small changes you've made in only 4 months' time. How many people would trade places with you for in a second to say, I lost 13 pounds in 4 months, 12 pounds in 4 months, at least, I mean, anything. They would trade places with you in a second to be able to say the same things. And the changes you've made, although so difficult to do, are really small in the broad scheme of things. Very, very simplistic. I'm so proud of you all. I'm so proud, and I can't wait to see what all of you will become because of these small steps you're making right now. Congratulations to each and every one of you. You're doing the best things you can do, even though maybe some of you don't feel it. The choices you're making right now are going to be the best choices of your life. And that's what most of this is. You're making choices right now that don't feel comfortable so that you can make the rest of your life the best of your life. I love each and every one of you. God bless you all.